Hello everybody and welcome here this morning. Today is all about culture and all about promoting and nurturing a culture in an organisation to promote digital change. So hopefully that's, my talk is going to be very, very non-technical talk, and we're going to look at a little bit of our story and the culture that we have in our organisation and how we're trying to nurture it. That is not perfect, but it's helping us along the way. So thanks to Saoirse and Rob. It's a tough act to follow, and obviously thanks to Alan and Suzanne for the invite here today. Just to introduce myself, my name is David Mullen. My background is in mechanical engineering. I got a degree in mechanical engineering in UCG back in the day, and my first job landed me in the construction sector with the mechanical contractor. And when I came out, I found I was really unprepared for what I had landed myself in. I got the job based on the fact that I could draw rather than my degree, but the first 6 and 9 months it was a tough learning process. The skills that I had as a mechanical engineer versus the skills that I needed to have to do my job, they were a mile apart, and it was I found it a big gap. And now, nearly 25 years on, I'm seeing it from the other side, where we're bringing in graduates from college and from school, and we're bringing them into our own organisation, and we see a skills gap between what they have and what we need them to have in the industry. So I suppose the skills gap was there 25 years ago. It's there now. We're in a very particular type of a niche industry, so there's probably always going to be some form of a skills gap. We just have to deal with it. So this is, I suppose, our approach of how we are trying to deal with it, and how we're using it to improve our organisation. By using a culture of training in our organisation to try and bridge this little bit of a gap. So my company, Engineering Documentation, as I was saying, I was working with a mechanical contractor for a number of years, and I saw how jobs were being handed over, particularly in terms of operation and maintenance manuals and as-built drawings. And I thought we could do a little bit better than that. In fact, I thought we could do a lot better by doing a little bit. And the little bit of change that we brought into it was we printed out the drawings and we got ourselves down to the site. We met the site foreman, we walked the systems, we walked the lines, we marked the drawings. And rather than giving the engineer back his own drawings with an as-built stamp on them, we gave him back proper drawings and proper documentation that reflected the site. By virtue of that, I suppose, we were dealing mainly with mechanical and electrical contractors at the time, and we got a name for producing good drawings, for not being afraid to go to site, for being able to deal with the guys on site, for being able to speak their language. And we got into doing coordination drawings, we got into doing construction drawings, builders' work drawings, schematic drawings, any form of drawing really on the site. And that's what got us into the whole area that we're in now. Then we started dabbling around with 3D drawings, and the challenge was we set up in 2006 and 2009. Obviously, the trapdoor opened in the market. We had to keep ourselves going. We had to keep the wheel turning. The wheel had slowed to a very slow pace, but if that wheel stopped, we were in big trouble. So we had to find something to keep ourselves relevant, something that people would pay for, maybe a new technology, maybe a better service. And we got into 3D drawing. Something simple like a boiler house, which is normally done in schematic format. We were trying to see how could we do a better layout drawing of that. And we found Revit, and we got a bit of training in it. I think it was ArcDocs back in the day came down and gave us our training in Revit. And we managed to move our service, which was coordination, from AutoCAD to Revit, with the ceiling void, the slab, the services in between. Now you'll notice I'm purposely avoiding the BIM acronym here, because the reason for that was at the time we were completely unaware and ignorant of this BIM industry that was behind it. We maybe didn't come in through the front door, but looking at where we are now versus where we are then, I'm very proud to say, okay, we might come in the side door, but now we have our ISO 19650 certification. And all of the services that we're providing now, and I suppose going back to what Rob was saying, we've pulled back a lot of the documentation to focus on the drawing side of things, what we were good at. albeit that we'll still look after the clients that looked after us when things were hard, but predominantly now our services are all drawing related, Revit, Plant, CAD, bit of SolidWorks. We do all our point cloud surveys, we have our point cloud scanners on it, and then training. And training is what we're going to talk about a little bit today. It's the thread that pulls all of the above services together and ties them in tight. Because when we come to meetings like this, or we go to, when we go to the likes of the gathering in September, we see all of these exhibitions and technology and softwares and hardwares and we can get blown away by it. But our business, we're using technology every day, and a lot of it we don't really class as technology, because our business, my business, is about people and getting the right people in. Because without those people, all of those technologies, they're not worth tuppence. So our business is about getting the right people in for the right reasons, providing them with training, and then hopefully delivering a very good professional service to our client. And when we were here last week, just by means of introduction, I think it was Mark from CPAC had a couple of words. He had 3 non-negotiables about his business. I think the first one was honesty, which it really struck a chord with me, because we all know paper doesn't refuse ink, and we can all see some of the way the truth can be stretched, particularly in our industry. I think the second one was adaptability, and I can't quite remember the third one, but I liked his approach. So I came up with a couple of words about our business and what I'm proud about, and that's hands-on, practical BIM. We're not going to stand up and blow you away with a load of terminology and tell you what you should or shouldn't be doing. We're going to get in there and do it for you. We're not afraid of sending people to site. We'll bring the site back to our office in the terms of a point cloud. But coming from a contractor's background, my focus has always been on getting the job done. So with that in mind, I suppose, and we're talking about culture today and the culture of training that we're trying to nurture within our organisation. And I didn't really think of it as a culture that we had up until a couple of months ago. We've been doing it, like I said, we've technologies we're using every day. We don't really class them as technologies. And we've been using training over the last 5 or 6 years, I suppose, on a steadier incline. Traditionally, what we would have done was hire people in, give them a little bit of an introduction to what they were doing, give them a bit of a mentor, put them sitting beside somebody that knew what they were doing, and they got on the job training. And that brought them a certain amount of the way. But with that approach, we were finding it was taking about 6 months to get somebody from zero to being useful. And in this environment and in this industry, 6 months is too long. So I have this idea that, okay, well, we need to pull that back to 2 months. And maybe it's 2 months, maybe it's 3 months, but that's what we're trying to achieve. So we've changed our approach, and what we do is we bring people in now, and before we put them up near the drawing board at all, we put them in for a couple of weeks of heavy, intensive training. We're Autodesk certified trainers, so we give them the training in-house in the software. We're dealing with mechanical and electrical contractors, so we give them a little bit of training on what they can and can't do with pipes and ducts and trays. And because our service is all about, it's about coordination. It's not about producing this ideal of a class tree model. It's producing a model that can be built on site. So can the pipes be hung? Can they be bracketed? Can the electrician get his paw up over the tray to pull the cable into it? Can the plumber get access to the valve when the building is live to isolate a certain area of it? Can the commissioning engineer get up to the duct with his pedo tube and drill his holes and balance the system? That's what we're trying to achieve. So by doing that and by front-loading that in the first month of somebody's induction, we'll say, to the company, by the end of the second or third month, now we have someone that's really useful. And we can work on them then in terms of the finesse and polish and the experience as they go. So that's, I suppose, the way we're doing it. And we didn't really think too much of it. And a couple of months ago, I got a phone call from a lady in the Chamber of Commerce in Sligo. And she said, "Dave, you haven't entered our Business Excellence Awards this year." And I didn't think, I said, look, that's not really what we're doing, Geraldine. We're not doing anything mad. We're just doing what we're doing. We're trying to do it well, but we're not doing anything mad and exciting. And she started pestering me anyways to enter it, because she had seen the ramp up in terms of the training that we were giving, in terms of the AutoCAD training and the clients we were pushing her way, and also the external training. So she had seen the ramp, and she thought there was a bit of a story to be told there. So this girl anyways was fairly persistent, and as much as a pacifier as anything else. Is, look, Charlie, I'll put something together, and we put an entry in. Didn't think too much of it. And when we saw the category we were in, we thought, oh, look, we're just here to make up the numbers. But luckily enough, I wasn't judging the competition, because I would have had a side bet on somebody else. But we came out on top. And it gave us an opportunity. Firstly, it was lovely to get a little bit of I suppose, recognition for what we were doing. But it made us stand back and think, hang on a minute, maybe we have something here. Maybe we're doing something that we should push it a little bit harder and nurture it. So I suppose why do we think about that, or why do we look at the training like that? And this is all my opinion here, so it's not based on anything scientific or technical, but I think that learning people value knowledge for its own sake. And I would class myself as a learning type of a person. I love learning new things. I love learning about new technology, new hardwares, new softwares. Anything that's a little bit new and might have a chance to improve what we can give to the client. I love it. And not just in work, because we all have a life outside of work as well. So we spoke about music earlier on, and learning a new tune or reading a new book. So it's nice to. I value knowledge, and I love learning new things. And I suppose, I would say this, but I think having a training culture is part of the compensation package for people who have that mindset as well. So all things being equal, a business should be able to attract people that match the business's reputation. And it should be cyclical. So if the company has a reasonable reputation, it will pull in people that are like-minded and want to get involved in that. Hopefully they will improve the culture within the company, and it comes back and it improves the reputation, and it goes round and round. So then what we're thinking of is, well, let's apply this culture of training now, and how are we going to apply it to the talent gap? Because I think everybody will accept there's a skills shortage within the country, and particularly within our industry, and there is a talent gap there. And I'm talking from my experience as someone that's looking for BIM coordinators. So, okay, it's a relatively new industry. There's a load of external factors that are happening globally today, but it's a relatively new industry in fairness. And the dedicated course is going to take time to come on stream, and teething problems and whatnot. And again, and I'm only speaking from my experience in the Northwest, because our office is based in Sligo. We have 25 to 30 people in our office. We should probably swell up over the summer to about 35 and back down in September to high 20s, early 30s. But we're not seeing the stream of people coming out from the BIM courses that we can put in a seat and are ready to coordinate. It's just not there. So what are we doing? Well, we're dealing with what we have in front of us. So we're in Sligo, we have Sligo IT on our doorstep, and we're pulling students out of the Sustainable Wood and Technology course. Why? Because they can draw, they've got good form of Revit, they've better Revit than is coming out of the architecture course, out of the engineering course, and indeed out of the BIM course. So it's been a happy hunting ground for us over the last number of years. This year we took on 5 people in January. We took on a couple of people, a guy and a girl from Letterfrack, from furniture design. And you might think, well, what has furniture design got to do with what we're doing? We're bloody good at Revit, and they have a great personality. So they'll bring something to our company, we bring something to them, but I think they can grow with us and make us even better. We've taken a lady out of childcare and a lady out of healthcare. We've taken a couple of lads out of maybe, they were between jobs, or maybe a little bit lost over COVID, or doing a bit of bar work or whatnot. So we've taken what you might describe maybe as a motley bunch is probably a cruel way to put it, but it's not maybe the traditional way that we'd operate. And that makes us look at the question, well, how qualified do we need our applicants to be? Do we need them to have that degree or that honours degree? And I think it was Liz that was talking here last month, and she was talking about micro courses, and I think she really hit the nail on the head in terms of the way things are going, where we can give batches of training that will count up to a qualification in the future. And that's what we're doing, and we're wondering, well, if we're doing all of this, these little batches of courses, can training allow us to access a more diverse talent pool? And I think it definitely can. And what it can really do is, and what today is all about, is it can allow us to bring people into our industry that would otherwise have been excluded because they don't have the traditional qualification. And it gives us opportunities to look beyond the universities and the ITs and into the post-leaving cert courses and the second level students. We did an experiment 3 or 4 years ago, and it was as much for my personal amusement as anything else, but we took 3 second-level students and 3 third-level students, and we trained them all, and we tested them. So we brought them through the Autodesk Certified User exam, and they all passed it. And the second-level students, the hunger and the drive out of them, I mean, it would make you swell with pride. They were really, really good. And before they went back at the end of the summer, I says, right lads, look, you've done a really good job. Let's try them through the professional exam. And no huge expectation. But the 3 lads passed it. And to put it mildly, it keeps everybody else on their toes that are in the company when they see what these guys can come in. With the drive, the hunger, under the proper conditions, they manage to get their professional exam, which is not the easiest exam to get. And then one of them said, look, Dave, he said, college, I don't think college is for me. Is there any chance? He didn't even have to finish the sentence. He was brilliant, and he's still with us. So it just shows that there isn't a boundary there, and we can bring these people in. Because I don't think a 3 or 4 year degree course is for everybody, but there's definitely something for everybody, and it's about finding that little bit of niche and finding what suits. So where are we using this culture of training? Well, obviously in recruiting and upskilling. So not just for our junior staff, but for our senior staff as well, for preparing staff to work on site. So obviously we have the Safe Pass, and we have, I know it's gone online recently, and that's another whole different conversation, but we have, so the Safe Pass, the manual handling, and because we do the point cloud scanning, we can go out, we can scan the site, bring it back into the office, and bring our new employees through the site virtually. So when they do go out on the site for the first time, they're not going out in their white sports jacket to meet a big hairy plumber with a big dirty hand and pat them on the back. They know what they're going to expect. They know what the piping arrangements look like. They know how the ducting arrangements look like. And there's that little bit of an ice is broken. Bespoke and specialist training. So this is probably something for our more experienced staff, where we will do, I suppose nobody likes coming into work doing the same thing every day. And we have to challenge ourselves. So if there's a bit of a niche, I'm going back to Sligo tonight because we have a wee bit of training in point cloud outputs and GIS and how it's all linked up. So something like that, just to keep us all thinking. And then non-technical and life skills. As I said, we generally bring in 6 to 8 students every summer just to help us through the period, and it works on both ways. But it doesn't all have to be about work. So what we do is, last year we did first responders, CPR first responders. We did a little bit of Excel. I think we had a 10-week course in Excel, and we brought our summer hires in for that as well. We'd probably do something similar this year, maybe something a little bit different. Maybe get someone in to teach them guitar chords or something just to knock the ice out of it. So, you never know. But then underpinning that, we have the standards as well. So, as I said, we have the 19650 standard, which was a real benchmark, I suppose, in our journey. We had the quality in health and safety and environmental from a couple of years back. But when we got the 19650, it really set a marker with us. And we use that then as a point of reference for everything we do. And then the culture and training, not just about bringing people in, but bringing them through the company. So benchmarking and progression. After 3 months, we try and bring people in batches of 4 and 5 because I suppose we found it was very expensive and very time consuming to hire or to train people one by one. So we do them as a group. And after 3 months, we put them through the certified user exam. If they get that, which they should, there's no excuse for not getting that, it sends them on their way. If they don't get it, obviously it allows us to weed them out early doors. But then the certified professional, and we're talking about the ISO 19650, and we have our surveillance audit on Friday, so it's kind of fresh in my head. But we've written into our standards that, or into our documentation, that to become a BIM coordinator, they have to have their certified professional exam. So it allows them a little bit, once you get the exam, it allows you a bit of career progression and a notch on it. And then, depending on the type of person and the attitude, we don't always force it, but we would encourage them to do the train the trainer program, because with the right person, if that's done, I think it's a great developmental type of a course. It brings people out of their shell. It gives people a little bit of confidence. And then we dip their toe in it, maybe with transition year students, that they can give a couple of modules of CAD or Revit or Navis and see if they like it. And if they do, and if they're good at it, we set them up as an Autodesk trainer. And then it's a good example to the next intake. So again, And we're back to the cyclical element of it on it. So how does it benefit our company? Well, number one, and again what today is all about, it enables people without that traditional qualification access to this industry, which they may otherwise be excluded from. And I think if that's the only benefit to the company, I think that's a huge benefit to have. It keeps our employees learning, even at a senior level. It keeps the brain ticking over and it keeps the wheel turning. And it encourages our employees to act as good examples to our new recruits coming in. So hopefully that then it promotes an ethos of learning within the company that we have there and that we can nurture and that we can bring on. So with that in mind, that's pretty much it. The resources that we use, I suppose we're pulling heavily on the skill nets in Sligo. The Sligo Chamber of Commerce and skill nets are all the one. And also the local ETB, the MSL ETB. And I think with these organisations, it really depends who you're dealing with within these organisations. And we're really lucky in the Northwest that the people that are in the positions of influence in the ETB and the skill nets are really can-do people. They're not box tickers. If you can't tick the box, they'll move the box to make it happen and they'll make it work. So we use them for pretty much all our training, depending on what we're doing. And obviously our in-house resources as well. So because of our training culture, our interview strategy is based more on, do I like the person? Are they driven? Do they have potential? Do they have a good attitude? Maybe they have other skills that they can bring in and make us a better company. So we try and pull on that as well. So that's pretty much it from me today. I know when we were doing the COVID, it was always customary to finish on a shan knuckle. So for your sake, I won't finish on a shan knuckle. But last month was all about inspiration, and this month is all about culture. So I'll leave you with a wee bit of inspiration, and hopefully a wee bit of culture. Just for you, Brendan. You like this one as well. So thanks very much. Hopefully everybody gets a little bit of something out of today.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.